In the late 1990s, Enron was the darling of Wall Street. It was named America's most innovative company 6 years in a row. They were the masters of the universe, turning energy into a complex game of digital gold. But behind the soaring stock price and the shiny glass towers in Houston, a dark psychological experiment was taking place. Enron didn't just fail because of bad accounting. They failed because of a lethal HR policy. They believed that to be the best, you had to be the most ruthless. They created a culture where empathy was a weakness and greed was the only metric of success. Today, we are deconstructing the Enron talent myth. We are going inside the rank and yank system, a policy so toxic it forced thousands of brilliant minds to lie, cheat, and eventually destroy their own empire. This is what happens when HR loses its soul. The tragedy of Enron started with a seemingly good idea. Hire the smartest people on the planet. CEO Jeffrey Skilling was obsessed with talent. He didn't care about experience, he cared about raw IQ. Enron recruited heavily from the world's top MBA programs, offering massive signing bonuses to the brightest graduates. But there was a catch. At Enron, being smart wasn't enough. You had to prove it every single day. The company adopted a philosophy that A players should be rewarded like gods, while everyone else was just noise. This created an environment of extreme elitism. Young associates were given millions of dollars to trade, with almost no supervision, as long as they hit their numbers. HR wasn't there to support people. HR was there to filter the weak from the strong. This is the first pillar of the collapse, the worship of individual brilliance over collective ethics. To keep the pressure at a boiling point, Enron implemented the most controversial HR policy in history, the Performance Review Committee, PRC. Internally, the employees had a much more accurate name for it, rank and yank. Here's how it worked. Twice a year, every employee was graded on a scale of 1 to 5. The rules were mathematical and heartless. The top 5% received massive bonuses, but the bottom 15%, they were automatically fired. It didn't matter if you were good at your job. If you were in the bottom tier of your group, you were gone. This created a gladiator pit atmosphere. Since you were being graded against your peers, helping a colleague was seen as a professional suicide. If I help you succeed, I might end up in the bottom 15%. This forced employees to sabotage each other, hide information, and create a climate of total paranoia. At Enron, your biggest enemy wasn't the competition. It was the person sitting at the desk next to you. When you tell people they will lose their house and their career if they don't hit impossible numbers, they don't work harder, they start to lie. The rank and yank system didn't produce excellence, it produced deception. To stay in the top 5%, Enron's traders and executives began using mark-to-market accounting, a way to book future profits as if they had already happened today. If a deal looked good on paper, they booked the profit immediately, even if the deal eventually lost millions. Because the PRC only looked at the numbers and not how those numbers were achieved, the culture became obsessed with short-term gains at any cost. Ethics were seen as a barrier to the rank. Internal auditors who tried to raise concerns were silenced or ranked out of the company. HR had become a weapon of the elite, used to eliminate anyone who questioned the innovations that were secretly bankrupting the firm. In December 2001, the House of Cards finally collapsed. Enron filed for the largest bankruptcy in U.S. history at the time. Overnight, $60 billion in market value vanished. But the real cost was human. 20,000 employees lost their jobs, their health care, and their life savings, while the top executives walked away with millions in bonuses they had ranked for themselves. The tragedy is that many of these employees were brilliant, hardworking people who were simply trapped in a system that rewarded the wrong things. The PRC system, designed to ensure excellence, had actually ensured the company's total destruction. It proves a fundamental law of HR. If you reward greed, you will eventually be consumed by it. The story of Enron is the ultimate warning for every CEO and HR professional today. It's a reminder that culture is not what you say, it's what you reward. If your performance reviews only measure what was achieved and never how it was achieved, you are building a ticking time bomb. High performance is nothing without high integrity. At Enron, they had the smartest guys in the room, but they didn't have a single leader brave enough to protect the culture from itself. Is your company's ranking system driving excellence, or is it driving fear? I'm HR Insight, and if you found this deep dive valuable, subscribe to join our community. Let's build better workplaces, one story at a time. See you in the next deep dive.